This comet is about the size of a mountain, but landing a spacecraft so far away by remote control, what an achievement. And Johanna Wagstaff, our staff scientist, still excited about this. And you're going to explain, first of all, the landing.
That's right. No easy feat. In fact, some comparisons being made, it was almost like flying a jet plane in formation with a speeding bullet before trying to land on that speeding bullet. So not your average parallel park, and a huge deal that it ended up being a success. You can understand why scientists around the world were so excited. Scientists from 30 different countries, technology from Canada included, celebrating a decade-long mission. So let me take you through the nail-biting 7-hour journey this morning from the time that the lander actually dropped off of the Rosetta spacecraft that's been orbiting this comet for months now. The lander then floated down to the surface of the comet, a 7-hour journey, basically using the small amount of gravity around that comet to attract that lander. So scientists watched nervously as the Philae lander made its way down to the surface. Then they had to wait an extra 28 minutes. That's how long one-way communication takes from 500 million kilometers away, and they got the all okay from the Philae lander. Of course, as you might imagine, it does have its own Twitter account, and its first tweet was, "Touchdown, my new address is 67P, which is the name of this comet." So a pretty exciting moment. And here's what one of the lead scientists said as he announced the first data that was sent back from the comet to Earth.
First things he told us was that the harpoons have been fired, rewound, and the landing gear has been moved inside. So we are sitting on the surface. Philae is talking to us. More data to come and to be analyzed right now.
Johanna, we got a vivid example a couple of weeks ago with that rocket explosion, of how things can go so wrong when it comes to the complexity of space travel, of launches. And a few things went at least imperfectly during this landing. You're
right, and we're still waiting. In fact, scientists working through the overnight to actually secure the lander to the surface of the comet. We had success in that the comet landed, but it actually bounced when it made that first touchdown. So potentially we've touched down twice on a comet in a matter of minutes. People or scientists were excited for that touchdown, but then they started to get additional data that the harpoons that were supposed to launch out of that lander and help anchor it onto the comet didn't actually release. So right now it's just sitting precariously on the surface of the comet. There's little gravity. There's a lot of activity happening as this comet basically hurtles closer towards the sun. There's gas being emitted. It's a high activity location to be sitting on with no ropes or tethers. So scientists are working to try and decide, should they refire those harpoons, which may launch it away from the comet and send it back out to space. They have some screws they might be able to drill down into the ground, a ground that they're still not sure about. We don't know if it's solid ice or solid rock, or if it's a couple of meters of ash. It sounds like it was a soft landing, so they're going to use that data to help them take the next step. But a successful and a huge landmark moment this morning, but we're still sort of sitting at the edge of our seats to make sure this guy stays put.
It doesn't have arms, but it does have a Twitter account.
Yes.
And let's take a look at that picture that we've been looking at a couple of times, see if we can put it up here. This is part of it, so technically this is a selfie.
You're right.
And as you look at this, I mean, to imagine we are that close, looking so closely to a comet is incredible.
It is incredible, and I'm glad you see it. I think people around the world are excited. I mean, this is the closest we have ever been to a comet, and this is the closest picture we've ever had of a comet. The origins of Earth may be somewhere in this comet. We've already learned so much about comets that we didn't already know just by orbiting it. And now that we've actually got a lander, this is the landing spot. You can see here this flat surface. It took months to determine the flattest spot for this lander, the size of a washing machine, to touch down on. This is about 4,000 meters long. And yes, it is a selfie there. So a couple of firsts tonight, but just so cool that now we'll be able to drill down into the surface, understand the composition of this comet, which in itself is a miniature time capsule. These guys were floating around billions of years ago, and hopefully that'll answer some big questions. You know, how did water get to Earth? Is there other life out there? And how did Earth first come to be? So that's the main study over the next year.
And to paraphrase Johanna, I'm glad even you, Ian, find this amazing.
I know it's a good story, Wen.
Thank you so much. Well, as I said,